What's everybody? Welcome back to the Grand Torino. Delighted you could join me again. Please, before we get started, as I always do, don't forget, press the like button, press the subscription button, and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future broadcasts. Little bit of housekeeping before we get started on today's difficult subject. I want to thank all the great patriots that turned out on Friday for the event outside the Dáil Éireann here in Dublin, Ireland, a free speech event where I made a speech, and I want to thank you all for your lovely comments and your words of encouragement, and it was great to meet and greet you all and shake your hands. And if you didn't get a chance to attend this one, fear not, there will be future events, and I will announce in due time. Keep your eyes and your ears peeled. Patriots. Also, if you get a chance, I beseech you, I importune you, don't forget, please visit the Grand Torino website, World Wide Web, grandtorino.ie, listed in the description box down below. Over there, you'll find links to our merchandise store and also a donations page. And I want to thank you all for your continued support on the donations page. Please help keep the platform going. Please make any donations you can over there and help keep this platform going forward. On today's subject, I want to discuss to you a leaflet that just came to my attention, and it ties in succinctly, a word I very, very rarely use, with a lot of requests coming to me from other patriots around the country who ask me to speak on this, and want to put this little short piece together for you. Tell me what you think. So just get started into the leaflet. This leaflet I found is very well fact-checked, and it will be distributed throughout the country. But in the meantime, please find a Google link to a Google Drive folder there, and you can download this leaflet, which is being distributed, I presume, as we speak. But it came to my attention, and it starts like this: hands off our kids, protect parental choice. Fine Gael are currently rushing to amend the Education Act 1998 in order to make compulsory a radical new relationships and sex education programme for all primary and secondary school children to replace existing programmes like Stay Safe. Fine Gael want sex education lessons to start earlier at primary school. Fine Gael want children to be taught about LGBTQI experiences and sexual practices in the RSE lessons. Fine Gael want children to be taught that there is a spectrum of gender identities, not just biological males or females. In other words, Fine Gael now want children to be taught that boys can choose to be girls and girls can choose to be boys. Fine Gael want children to be taught that abortion as a form of reproductive health care. Fine Gael want children taught about sexual consent, even though most will be under the legal age of 16. This is something paedophiles will welcome. Fine Gael want children to be taught porn literacy. By pushing to change the Education Act 1998, Fine Gael is trying to remove every school's right to maintain their own ethos, which means no opt-out for parents. This is a very underhand way of getting around Article 42.1 of the Constitution, which guarantees every parent's right to be the main and natural educators of their children. As a result, Fine Gael are trying to make it compulsory that extremely sexualised RSE lessons be taught to every child in every classroom in Ireland, and parents will not be able to object. Now, as I said, I'll leave a link to a Google Drive folder. You can download it for yourself. At the bottom of the leaflet, there's also a website here, worldwideweb.handsoffourkids.org. You want to provide any feedback or leave any comments or further your investigations to this very well put together program, which includes a list of TDs. Should you not know who your local TD, should you wish to contact them and find out any information on their viewpoint of the new RSE sex education program, which is due to be rolled out here on the 25th of October. I also note here at the bottom, he says you can provide your feedback to the NCCA before the 25th of October 2019. This is the deadline before this will be launched and rolled out through primary schools. And if you're unsure of who your TD is, you can also go to the website, World Wide Web, whoismytd.com, and ask them, do they support the rush to change this Irish law? And I mentioned the word rush because another link, which I will leave also again in the description box, is this Dáil Éireann debate from Thursday just gone on the 26th of September 2019, and it is a report on relationships and sexual education. I encourage you please to read through the transcripts of the debate, and we had the usual agitators for this rollout of this new sex education bill, Fiona O'Loughlin being one, Ruth Coppinger being another. And nowhere throughout this debate was there any mention of a poll or substance research into asking parents, did they want this new sex education? How would it be brought together? Did they feel that this was within keeping to the school ethos, to their own ethos? This was just the in-house, the state having its little powwow amongst itself, and then just rolling it out to you. Please, I encourage you, read through this. We'll have had the Minister for Education and Skills, Dr. Joe McHugh. And I also note that the only kind of dissenting voice that would steer towards parental consent for these education was from Peadar Tóibín. So a big fair play to Peadar Tóibín from that. Peadar Tóibín is a leader of a new party here and to it in Ireland, and that also supports pro-life, but I don't agree with everything else that they stand for. But props where props is due. So please read through that, and I want to draw your attention to this article from the Daily Mail over in the United Kingdom. And what I presume this will do is give you a flavour of what has already been rolled out in the United Kingdom, what is coming here. And the paper touches upon the concerns of parents after it is being rolled out and how they were treated. I'll get through it as quick as I can. Children as young as 6 are to be given compulsory self-touching lessons. Children as young as 6 are to be taught about touching or stimulating their own genitals as part of classes that will become compulsory in hundreds of primary schools. Some parents believe the lessons, part of a controversial new sex and relationships teaching program called All About Me, are sexualizing their young children. One couple told last night how they were so disturbed they withdrew their sons from lessons at a school where the program is already being taught. All About Me is being rolled out across 241 primaries by Warwickshire County Council and could be adopted by other local authorities next year as part of the government's overhaul of relationship and sex education, RSE. Family campaigners and religious groups warned that vague guidelines issued by the Department of Education meant schools could soon be providing sexual material to young children that many parents would consider inappropriate. Even politicians who had supported the RSE legislation expressed concern. Tory MP David Davis said, "I and many other parents would be furious at completely inappropriate sexual matters being taught to children as young as 6. These classes go way beyond the guidance the government is producing and are effectively sexualizing very young children." Documents obtained by the Mail on Sunday detail how All About Me classes involve pupils aged between 6 and 10 being told by teachers that there are rules about touching yourself. An explanation of rules about self-stimulation appears in the scheme's Year 2 lesson plan for 6 and 7-year-olds. Under a section called Touching Myself, teachers are advised to tell children that lots of people like to tickle or stroke themselves, as it might feel nice. They are also instructed to inform youngsters that this may include touching their private parts. And while some people may say this behavior is dirty, it is in fact very normal. However, the youngsters are warned it is not polite to touch themselves in public. It is an activity they should do when alone in the bath, shower, or in bed. In the same lesson, children are given scenarios which they must judge to be okay or not okay. In one, pupils are told when a girl called Autumn has a bath and is alone, she likes to touch herself between her legs. It feels nice. At this point, teachers are advised to remind students of the rules about self-stimulation. The guidance on touching is repeated in lesson plans for years 4 and 5 involving pupils aged 8 to 10. As part of the government's RSE reforms, all primary schools will be required to teach compulsory relationships education from next September. It includes topics about families, friendships, online relationships, privacy, and being safe. Sex education tailored to the needs of their pupils is also recommended, but not mandatory. Warwickshire has introduced relationship lessons in some primaries ahead of the nationwide launch, including sessions addressing self-stimulation. From next September, parents will not be able to withdraw children from these lessons. Parents at Coton End Primary School in Warwick met sex education consultant Johnny Hunt, one of the architects of All About Me scheme, in June and raised concerns about some of its content. Asked why self-stimulation appeared in the Year 5 lesson plans and why it was not in the non-compulsory sex education element of the programme, he said, actually, we refer to self-stimulation or self-soothing throughout the programme in earlier years as well. This is not sex education, but actually information around safe and appropriate touching. However uncomfortable adults may find it, children of all ages will self-stimulate from time to time. They may do this when anxious or simply because it feels nice. Naomi and Matthew Seymour, whose two sons attend Coton End, strongly disagree with that assessment. Concerned their sons would be exposed to issues they were not ready to hear, they removed them from the school for a week during which the programme was taught. My wife cried for the first time she read what was going on in the lessons, said Mr. Seymour, 38. This sexualization of our children is totally inappropriate. They are calling it self-touching and they won't use the term masturbation. But when you read it, that's exactly what they're talking about. We don't want to start picket lines and wave banners. We're just an ordinary family. I think many families who had seen these lessons plans would feel the same way we did. Lynette Smith, a teacher who runs a company which provides RSE programs for schools, said she sympathised with those concerned by the self-stimulation section of Year 2 curriculum. She said, we never use the word self-stimulation, not in primary school. For us, it is not appropriate. Piers Shepherd of the Family Education Trust said RSE guidance was too vague. He added, it is even more concerning that parents may be denied the opportunity to withdraw their children from these lessons if the school brands them as relationship education classes rather than as sex education. Clear warning, you will not be able to remove your child from these mandatory classes. I guarantee you, our government will do the exact same. Simon Calvert of the Christian Institute said, it looks like Warwickshire has paid more attention to a controversial sex education consultancy than to what parents understand to be in the best interests of their children. Warwickshire County Council said that the lessons were tailored to the age and development level of the children, adding, while some of the material may be sensitive for some, we believe it is important for children to get clear and consistent information about this important but often overlooked subject. The sex education consultant behind the All of Me programme is also likely to raise eyebrows with his views on marriage. On the blog section of his website last July, Johnny Hunt, 37, criticised draft government guidelines for relationships and sex education for highlighting the importance of wedlock. Ironically, he married his partner Gemma the following month. The guidelines stated that by the end of primary schools, pupils should know that marriage represents a formal and legally recognised commitment of two people to each other, which is intended to be lifelong. But railing against the continued emphasis on marriage, Mr. Hunt wrote, there still seems to be the belief that a marriage provides a safer environment for children or for sex. This is not the case. Bullshit. Bullshit. The family is the primary carer. The parents are the primary educators. As laid down in the Constitution, Article 42.1, the parents are the primary educators of their children. This is yet again the state overreaching its powers because of the Children's Rights Referendum and taking control of your children's thought processes. Ireland has been and always will be a nation of families. We are a nation of families. This BS is trying to convince people that we are a nation of individuals. That is not what the Irish nation is about. We are a nation of families. And from there on, we can only grow stronger and better together. Mr. Hunt has worked with Warwickshire Council for more than 7 years. After he visited Holland in 2012, the council brought Spring Fever, a Dutch sex education programme for 4 to 11-year-olds, which provided the blueprint from which he helped develop the All About Me lesson plans. Approached for comment, Mr. Hunt said he had nothing to add to the council's statement. And I want to finish off because on a website that's available for children, well, it's all available all around the world, and I'll go through it with you at the end. But this is part of the reason that they say they want children, and it says 6 to 8 to 10-year-olds. And in our case, 0 to 4 has been mentioned in sex education. But there's thing there like porn literacy, to understand common vernacular, common sayings in the porn world, which I think is totally inappropriate. Let's have a look at this website. And here you'll see the Respect Yourself website. And just to reiterate, all these links for this will be in the description box. Please, I encourage you, go do your own review and understandings. Please download that leaflet as well. You'll see it in the Google Drive down there. But here on this website here, we have the sectionary section of the website. And you can peruse through. You can see already there at the top the type of language and the type of words that are used. We can click through many different terminologies. From the very top here, beginning with, let's look at F, fadge, faggot, family jewels, the common vernaculars that 6 to 8-year-olds should have no understanding or no idea of what they mean. But they want to bring this into the classroom. And here, this word here I found particularly distressful. Felch. During sex, after a guy has ejaculated inside his partner, leaving his semen inside them, either in their vagina or anus. Felching is when you tidy up with the licking and sucking your fluids back out of your partner. Sounds a bit icky and disgusting, but then sex generally is. Ladies and gentlemen, I won't leave that up on the screen too much. I do encourage you to go do your further investigations on this sort of link. But as noted in the leaflet, we have, you have, our families have, should you have any concerns or any concerns, Neely, contact your local TD, contact your the NCCAA, which is all set in the link in the leaflet down below. Please, I encourage you, download it and share it amongst your friends and family and have this discussion. But also bear in mind, you have until the 25th of October to lodge any complaints and stop the rollout of this radical sex education program. Because if it goes through and they're able to push it through unabashed, you will not be given the opportunity to remove your children from these classes. They will make it compulsory. Pretty much like what Simon Harris is talking about already, about mandatory vaccines. What happened to your body, your choice? Ladies and gentlemen, I could split off into many different fractions and get on my soapbox, as I am oft want to do. But again, I want to thank you all for joining me on this episode, and please continue to support the platform if you can in any way, shape or form. Even if it is just press the like button or share these video episodes on your own platforms and get the message out. Again, I will announce as soon as I can at a next event, and you will be made available, and you will have an opportunity to attend. And I encourage men, women of all ages and ranges, please attend. This is free speech. This is the fight of our generation. Us.